everyone. Myself Shikha Duggar, working as an assistant professor in Biyani group of colleges, welcomes you all on behalf of GuruKPO.com. Today, I am going to present my presentation on the wages and theories of wages. First and the foremost thing is, what are wages? Four factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. For the land, we have to pay rent. For labor, we have to pay wages. For land, labor, capital, for capital we have to pay interest, and for entrepreneur we get profit or loss. So what are wages? We are talking about the employee, and for employee we give wages. What are wages? The payment which is made by the employer to the employee for the work he or she has done in an organization is wages. Now, how these wages are determined? This is not a random affair. There is some theories which has determined by some of the economists, which says how wages are determined. So, some of the theories are subsistence theory, standard of living theory, wage fund theory, residual claimant theory, marginal productivity theory, and the last is modern theory of wages. The first theory is subsistence theory of wages. What do you mean by subsistence? Subsistence level is the level at which the employer gives such an amount by which the employees or the workers can only fulfill the basic necessities of life, right, like food, clothing and shelter. Employer doesn't pay more than this subsistence level, because if they will pay more, the employee will utilize that more amount in some or the other ways, and that will reduce their efficiency. First is subsistence theory. Second is standard of living theory of wages. The second is standard of living theory of wages. What is standard of living? This is little bit increment in the subsistence level. And standard of living, apart from land, food, clothing and shelter, some more is given by which the employee can fulfill his children's education and little bit of recreational activities. That particular amount is paid by the employer to the employee. The third is wage fund theory of wages. What do you mean by wage fund? As wage fund is, employee keeps some of the amount which is fixed and which is constant, that is what is called as wage fund, and that wage fund is divided by the number of employees in the organization, and that is equally paid to all the employees in the organization. That means wages is equal to wage fund divided by the number of employees. But in this theory, by this theory, the amount is given equally, and that means the efficiency of each and every employee is not defined, because say for example, if X employee is more efficient and Y is less efficient than X, but the amount is paid equally, so that will give the demotivation to employee X. The fourth is residual claimant theory. What do you mean by residual claimant theory? As I have already told you that there are four factors of production, namely land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. Residual is the remaining part which is left after giving the payment to the land, that is rent, to the capital, that is interest, and to the entrepreneur, that is profit. The amount which is left after paying all these things is equal to wages, and that is again divided by the number of employees. But that is not practically possible, because residual claimant is not of the employees, but that is of the entrepreneur. The next is marginal productivity theory. Now, what do you mean by marginal productivity theory? The word marginal means an addition. The word marginal productivity means an addition in the productivity. An addition in the productivity when we add one more labor to the existing labor force, and because of that one more labor, what is the increment in the total production is marginal productivity. So, according to this theory, the amount which is paid to the employee with in terms of the marginal productivity on the basis of the efficiency of that particular employee which is added is marginal productivity theory. The amount here, the wages is paid according to the marginal productivity of each and every employee. And the last is modern theory of wages. This is an upgradation to the marginal productivity theory. Here the wages is determined by the point of intersection at the of the demand for labor and the supply of labor. Now what do you mean by demand of labor? When the labor is demanded more in the market because of the high requirement, of the product in the market, an employer will require more labor. And the supply of labor, that means there are many number of employees who wanted to do a job or to do a work in any of the organization. So the point of intersection where these two things, demand for labor and the supply of labor intersect is the point where the wages is determined. If the demand for labor is more, then the wages will be more, because in an industry labors are demanded more, and when the demand is more, their wages will be more. But if the supply of labor is more as compared to the demand, the wages will be less. So these all are the 6 theories, that is subsistence theory, standard of living theory, wage fund theory, residual claimant theory, marginal productivity theory and the modern theory of wages. These all are the theories of wages by which we or an employer decides the wage of an employee. Thank you so much.